Good morning, everyone. Today we're diving into a critical and timely topic, culturally responsive pedagogy and its integration into teacher training programs, particularly in the context of international schools. This presentation is designed for educators, teacher trainers, administrators, curriculum developers, and researchers, all of whom play pivotal roles in shaping inclusive and equitable learning environments. So here is today's outline. We're going to start with some identifying learning outcomes, and then we are going to have some grounding to kind of level our understanding of culturally responsive pedagogy. We will then launch into the introduction problem statement as well as identifying audience for the dissertation. Then we will start with identifying key literatures and close it with having a discussion at the very end. By the end of this session, you will be able to, one, explain the importance of CRP in creating inclusive and equitable classrooms for diverse student populations. Two, you will be able to identify challenges in teacher training programs that hinder the practical application of CRP. Three, by the end of this session, you will be able to discuss actionable strategies to integrate CRP into professional development. And also, by the end of this session, you will be able to analyze how CRP can address cultural and linguistic diversity in international schools. Let's start with our grounding. Let's think, pair, and share for this portion of the activity. We're going to start with a quote from Zaretta Lynn Hammond, a leading voice in culturally responsive teaching. She says that culturally responsive pedagogy is about empowerment and interrupting teaching practices that keep certain students and teachers as dependent learners. Think about that. We must create the right instructional conditions that encourage brain development by giving students and teachers work that is relevant and focused on problem solving. Let's pause for a moment and reflect. What does CRP mean to you? So, the focus of this research is essentially to address a critical gap, the disconnect between theoretical knowledge and the practical application of CRP in teacher training programs for international schools. While CRP has been shown to foster student engagement, belonging, and equitable outcomes, Lesson Billings 2014, as well as GAY 2018, many educators feel unprepared to implement it effectively, Choi and Lee 2020. This lack of preparation perpetuates inequities in multicultural education, especially in diverse and global settings like international schools. CRP is more than just an approach, it's a mindset and practice. It involves four core elements. One, affirmation, recognizing and accepting students for who they are, nurturing their multiple identities. Two, validation, acknowledging socio-political realities and using them as tools for instruction. Three, cognition, using students' cultural backgrounds as reference points for learning. And four, processing, helping students internalize content through culturally relevant practices like music, storytelling, movement. And essentially, CRP is not just about what we teach, but it is also about how we teach it to our students. The eight competencies of CRP, and to implement it effectively, educators must develop the following. One, you must reflect on one's cultural lens. Two, you have to recognize and redress bias within the educational systems. 3, promote respect for student differences. 4, draw on students' culture to shape curriculum and instruction. 5, communicate in linguistically and culturally responsive ways. 6, collaborate with families and local communities. 7, model high expectations for all students. And 8, bringing real-world issues into the classroom. These competencies enhance cultural awareness, it foster inclusive learning environments, and lead to improved educational outcome. The key challenge is the insufficient integration of CRP in teacher training programs, particularly in international schools in China. Research shows that many programs fail to provide practical strategies for CRP implementation, Caldwell 2022. This results in student disengagement, inequitable outcomes, and a lack of inclusive practices. So again, like I mentioned earlier, who will benefit from this dissertation? Educators and teacher trainers, because they are directly involved in classroom instruction. Administrators, because they are responsible for professional development programs. Policymakers and curriculum developers, who are designing teacher training programs, as well as scholars and researchers who are exploring multicultural education challenges. These are the three important literature to ground our discussion. Let's reference these three foundational works. One, Gay 2018, says that culturally responsive teaching theory, research, and practice provides a comprehensive framework for implementing CRP and emphasizes the role of professional development. 2, Choi and Lee, 2020, in Enhancing Teacher Self-Efficacy in Multicultural Classrooms. This literature explores how professional development improves teachers' confidence and effectiveness in diverse classrooms. And 3, Caldwell 2022, in the impact of quality professional development in culturally relevant pedagogy. This research examined the effect of CRP-focused training on both teacher practices and student engagement, offering insights for international contexts. So let's take a moment and reflect together. These are some of the guiding questions for understanding CRP. What principles of CRP do you believe are the most important for educators to understand? Can you share an experience where teaching effectively addressed cultural differences? What challenges have you faced or do you anticipate when implementing CRP in diverse classrooms? Finally, how might the absence of CRP impact student outcomes? Integrating CRP into teacher training is essential for fostering inclusive and equitable education in international schools. By providing educators with the knowledge, skills, and strategies to apply CRP effectively, we can definitely enhance student engagement. We can promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we can ensure better educational outcomes for all students. As we conclude, I encourage you to reflect on how you can use your role or resources to further support a culturally responsive environment. Before we end, please write down one actionable step you'll take to support CRP in your work. And 2, perhaps you can have a brief conversation with someone next to you about your thoughts on this presentation. You can choose one or the other. Finally, please scan the QR code to complete a 2-minute exit ticket before leaving the room. Thank you.